I'm Perry Ginsberg, founder of Workforce Ready Now, and we help achieving students like you turn potential into offers through strategic coaching, real world insight, and our signature approach, being appropriately aggressive. Because in today's competitive market, playing it safe won't get you hired, but being remembered will. So tonight, I invite you just to listen and absorb. There is no need to take notes unless you prefer to. I will send everyone the recording and transcript once we're complete, and you can review and look it over at your convenience. And I know it's late and many of you have worked all day, so I want to be respectful of your time and dive right in. So let's set the tone for tonight. If you're here, chances are you're a high achiever. You've put in the work, you've built the resume, you've got the GPA, the experience, the drive. But let me be clear, and this is important, really important. Interviews are not about being perfect. They're about being intentional. Let me say that again because it's everything. It's not about being perfect. It's about being intentional. Intentional in what you share, intentional in how you show up, and intentional in how you connect. The goal of this workshop isn't to turn you into some over-rehearsed robot. It's to help you be strategic, memorable, human, flawed. Because the truth is, most students don't bomb interviews because they're unqualified. They bomb them because they try to sound what they think a perfect candidate is supposed to sound like. And the result, they disappear into a blur of solid applicants who gave pretty good answers. You're not here to be pretty good. You're here to be undeniable. And that doesn't come from rehearsing 50 answers. It comes from learning how to take control of the conversation and build a connection that sticks. So tonight, I want you to go off this idea that there's a right way to answer every question, and instead start thinking like a storyteller, a strategist, a future colleague. And when you shift into that mindset, when you realize that the best interviews are not performances, but conversations, that's when things start to click. So let's start by talking about what actually holds most candidates back. Let's start here. Most students don't get the offer because they focus on answering questions rather than owning the narrative. Interviewers forget 83% of what you say. That's true. 83% of what you say is forgotten, but they'll always remember how you made them feel. Today's goal is to teach you how to be memorable on purpose. So quick gut check. If I asked you right now, tell me the 3 things you want an interviewer to remember about you, could you do it? Most of us couldn't, and that's what we're here to fix. First impressions are formed in 7 seconds. I didn't make that up. This is fact. That means before you finish your second sentence, they've already decided whether to take you seriously. And it's not just in interviews. Resume reviewers spend on average 7 seconds on your resume before deciding whether to move forward. So remember, you get 7 seconds on paper and 7 seconds in person. Your job isn't to be perfect. I'm going to keep saying that over and over again. It's to be clear, confident, and intentional from the get-go. Ask yourself, what do I want them to remember in those 7 seconds? Here's a fun exercise. Ask a friend to read your resume for 7 seconds, close it, and tell you what they remember. It's usually one role or one phrase. That's your brand. If it's not what you want them to remember, you've got some editing to do. Same goes for your intro in an interview. Record yourself answering, tell me about yourself, and watch only the first 7 seconds. What's the energy? Would you hire you? Okay, I'm going to talk about 4 main types of interviews. There are a few others, but these are 95% what you're going to face throughout your course of interviewing. The first is the HR screening interview. These are your tell me about yourself or where do you see yourself in 5 years questions. They're looking for clarity, motivation, and polish. This is your first gatekeeper. This got to get past this. Then we got the behavioral interviews. Think, tell me about a time when. These questions test your ability to think quickly on your feet, handle challenges, lead teams, adapt, and communicate effectively through real life examples. Then you've got technical interviews. These are role specific and test your knowledge, logic, and sometimes your ability to work under pressure, especially common in finance, engineering, science, and heavy data roles. Then we've got the fit case hybrid interviews. These blend personal and analytical questions. In consulting and strategy roles, even why our firm or why do you want to work for us might be probing your structure and reasoning like a mini case. Each one requires a different level of prep, but all require intentional strategy. Today, I'll show you how to approach each like the elite candidate that you are. High performers often fall into what I call resume robot syndrome. You list achievements, but forget to connect with the human on the other side. You sound rehearsed, safe, polished, but forgettable. And that's a problem. Here's the reality. Yes, you're impressive. You're at a top school. You've done great things, but so are many other people in the applicant pool. You have to assume that your competition is equally impressive on paper. That's why your edge isn't just your resume. It's your story. It's how you position your experiences, values, and drive as a unique value proposition. Because the candidate who connects, not just competes, is the one who gets remembered. I'm going to give you a little example. Play along with me. Think about the classes you've taken so far at Penn. Who's been your favorite professor? Think about that. Or who has made the biggest impact on you? Was it because they were the smartest in the room, or was it because they made you feel something? Maybe they made you laugh. Maybe they challenged your thinking. Maybe they saw something in you. That's what makes someone memorable. The same rule applies in interviews. There's a difference between being impressive and being compelling. The first gets you respect. The second gets you hired. Take 10 seconds right now. What's one story or experience from your resume that shows who you are? Not just what you've done. Think about how you tell that story and not just list it. I want you to think about that for a second. So here's the truth. Even in technical roles, which I know many of you are pursuing, storytelling is your advantage. The best answers are rooted in facts and framed with emotional intelligence. Why? Because stories make your experience stick. They show decision-making, resilience, creativity, all the things a resume can't. Let me give you a quick example. Imagine two candidates, similar backgrounds, are asked, tell me about a time you overcame a challenge. Very normal, typical behavioral question. And the first one says, well, I was a part of a group project that was given to us in macroeconomics. The professor out of nowhere upped the deadline by 2 weeks. We had to scramble, but we got it done. Okay. Second candidate says, halfway through a group project, our deadline got pushed up by 2 days. I reorganized our deliverables, reassigned roles based on each teammate's strengths, and stepped in to edit the final report myself. We submitted it with an hour to spare, and it ended up being one of the highest scoring submissions. Who are you more likely to remember? I'm going to bet it's the one who told the story. So, quick test. If someone else could give the same answer as you, it's not a story, It's merely a fact. One other bonus tip: use emotion words to anchor moments. Say things like, I felt stuck, I was energized, I felt ownership for the first time. These little cues activate emotional memory for the interviewer. Okay, this is something that I'm actually really passionate about. It's 9:11 at night. I understand that you may not share my passion, but just try. Let's get into the heart of how you actually answer interview questions in a way that makes you stand out from other smart, qualified candidates. This is our signature method, the Workforce Ready Now 3-level answer framework. And it's designed to help you move from being just qualified to being memorable. Okay? I'm going to start with level 1, clear structure. This is your foundation. This is the basic scaffolding of your answer. I recommend using STAR or CAR, STAR, which is situation, task, action, and result. CAR, challenge, action, result, both two very widely accepted methodologies on how to answer a behavioral question in a way that keeps it concise, structured, and impactful. Answering questions with either STAR or CAR ensures you are coherent, complete, and organized. But if you stop here, you may sound like everyone else. So that's where level 2 comes in. Level 2 is all about strategic insight or business thinking. This is what separates high performers. It's where you show not just what you did, but why it mattered. How did it impact the team, the customer, the bottom line? Did you consider trade-offs? What broader takeaways did you learn? This level shows your maturity and context. And then we get to level 3, the one that I feel could be most important: emotional edge and emotional intelligence. This is the part interviewers remember. It's where you add a human moment, something that gives them insight into who you are as a person. Maybe it's your motivation, a reflection, a vulnerability, or a unique way you handle pressure. When done right, this is what makes them root for you. Think of these 3 levels like building a fire. Level 1 is your structure, level 2 is the spark, and level 3 is the heat that makes it unforgettable. Maybe I'll put it into a slightly different terms that I'm sure many of you can relate to. Let's say the example that you want to give is how you built a dashboard in Excel. Level 1 is, I built it to save time. Okay, that's what I did. Level 2 is, it saved 5 hours a week and improved team workflow. And level 3 is, it taught me that I love solving inefficiencies and making life easier for others. That's how you move from task doer to impact maker. Okay, tell me about yourself. I guarantee you, if you haven't been asked this yet, you will. It is the most common question that kicks off almost every interview. So let's apply this framework that I just taught you. Most students ramble or recite their resume. Instead, we're going to use 2 Workforce Ready Now tools together: the 3-level answer framework, which I just introduced, and the present, past, future structure, which is purely for the tell me about yourself question. The present, past, future model is simple, but it's powerful. Present is where you are right now, what you're studying, involved in, focusing on. Past is a quick glimpse at what shaped you, your previous roles, decisions, or standout moments. Future, what you're looking for, what excites you, and why this opportunity matters. Now, layer that in with the 3-level framework. Level 1, giving structured walkthrough. Level 2, show business or strategic awareness. And level 3, add your personal edge or motivation. Let's hear what that sounds like. I'm going to give you an answer as if I were a sophomore finance student at Penn, and I was just asked to tell me about yourself. I'm currently a sophomore at Penn studying finance and data analytics. Right now, I'm focused on building a strong foundation in valuation and capital markets, and I'm actively involved in the Student Investment Club. Last semester, I helped pitch a healthcare stock by identifying a market inefficiency based on regulatory changes. That experience sparked my interest in using data to inform real investment decisions. Before college, I interned at a small accounting firm where I learned how to communicate with clients and manage deadlines, even as a high school student. Looking ahead, I'm excited to bring both my analytical and interpersonal skills into a summer internship where I can learn from professionals, contribute to deal work or research, and get early exposure to how firms think about investment strategy. I'm especially drawn to environments where mentorship and initiative are valued. You have to admit, that's a powerful answer. It has structure, strategy, and personality, and it's built entirely from experiences that a sophomore could truly have. So now let's go to the what's your biggest weakness? You're going to get asked this one too, and this is a toughie. People struggle with this one. So here's the answer I do not want you to give. And I say this because I have been interviewing candidates for over 30 years, and this is the number one answer I get. I'm a perfectionist. No context, no story, no detail, just I'm a perfectionist. So I'm going to offer up advice right now. Don't use that. Don't say it. Instead, let's see how we can do better. Use the 3-level framework to craft a powerful, authentic response, not a perfectionist. Here's an example. One area I've been working on is speaking up in group meetings, especially when I'm not 100% confident in my idea. In the past, I'd stay quiet out of fear of being wrong, even when I had something valuable to contribute. That's the level 1, clear structure. I stated the weakness honestly. Let's move on. After noticing this pattern during a class consulting project, I made it a goal to speak at least once during every team meeting, even if I just had to ask a clarifying question or share a draft idea. Over time, it became more natural, and by the end of the semester, I was co-leading the final presentation. Level 2, strategic thinking. Show how you took action and made progress. And let's wrap it up with level 3. Now, I'm still working on it, but I've learned that contributing early, even imperfectly, actually helps shape better team outcomes. It made me more confident and more collaborative. Personal edge demonstrates self-awareness and growth mindset. Okay, let's talk about one of the most important and most overlooked questions in high-stake internships. Why this firm, or why do you want to work for us? I can't tell you how many students blow this question by giving answers that are polite but forgettable. You know the ones. I admire your culture. You're a top firm in the industry, great global reputation. I'd love the opportunity to grow here. And guess what? Everyone says that. If they hear it 20 times in a row, you've already lost their attention. So let's fix it. I'm going to introduce what I call the 3 R's. Research, name something specific you admire, a deal, value, initiative, or leadership trait. Relate, connect this to your own experience, goals, or values. And reinforce, speak to the future, what you're excited to contribute, learn, or grow at this firm. Think of it as what, why it matters to me, and where I want to go with it. Let's jump in and give you an example so that you can see this in context. Research, relate, reinforce. So first example. This is an example that a finance candidate could use. I've been following Morgan Stanley's Global Capital Markets division, and one thing that stood out was the firm's role in the Spotify direct listing. The innovative structure of that deal really reflected Morgan Stanley's reputation for balancing creativity with precision. And that's exactly the kind of environment I'm hoping to grow in. As someone who thrives in a fast paced, collaborative setting, I'm excited by how the firm invests in early talent and gives interns exposure to real clients. Based on what I've learned from alumni conversations and analyst insights, Morgan Stanley feels like the right fit for me. It's pretty good, right? It's specific, aligned, and confident. Let me give you another example. I'm going to level it up just a little bit. And this will be an example using a consulting candidate. I first became interested in Bain after speaking with two alumni who described the culture as collaborative but fiercely analytical. That combination is exactly what I'm looking for. I also read about Bain's work with the Bridgespan Group, and as someone passionate about using strategy for social impact, that really resonated. It showed me the kind of value-driven thinking that I want to be a part of. I'm excited by the idea of working somewhere that not only challenges you intellectually, but encourages you to think beyond profit. That's the kind of firm I want to grow in. See the difference? One builds a narrative. It's researched, it's reflective, and it gives a clear sense of value, purpose, and personal alignment. Generic gets lost. Strategic gets remembered. When in doubt, remember the 3 R's: research, relate, reinforce. Okay, so now let's look into an example that would benefit candidates who are looking to get into the investment banking or the private equity or the VC space. Saying I'm interested in deals isn't enough. They want to know, can you speak thoughtfully about a real transaction? Have you done research? Do you understand the firm's investment thesis and how you align with it? Give you a quick example here. I recently studied Apollo's acquisition of Arconic, and what stood out was the firm's emphasis on operational improvement post-buyout. That approach aligns with how I think, not just about making the deal, but improving long-term value. I'm drawn to firms like Apollo that go beyond capital and really focus on transformation. Don't you think that's going to be remembered over, I really like your culture? Now, let's talk about one of the most commonly misunderstood interview categories, the consulting or strategy interview. I know many of you are looking to go in this direction. These firms are known for asking cases, but even the so-called fit questions are really just mini cases in disguise. When they ask something like, tell me about a time you led a team, they're not just looking for leadership. They're listening for structure, problem solving, outcome ownership, and whether you can handle ambiguity, just like they would in a case. The trick is to answer these questions with the same mindset you'd use to solve a real client problem. Break it down clearly, explain your reasoning, and show adaptability. Let me give you an example. This past semester, I led a student team on a market entry project for a startup through our consulting club. Halfway through, the client provided their product offering, and we had to rework our entire strategy. I helped restructure our deliverables, facilitated new research, and reassigned tasks based on each member's strengths. We ended up presenting a revised plan that the founder said was clearer than their own internal roadmap. That experience taught me the importance of adaptability, client communication, and leading through change, all skills I hope to continue to grow in consulting. Okay, enough answering the why this firm. Let's talk about feelings, everybody's favorite topic. Like I said before, interviewers won't remember your GPA. They'll remember how you made them feel, confident in your maturity, calm under pressure, and excited to bring you onto the team. That comes down to presence, not just prep. But let me put a little caveat out there, because again, I know I'm talking to an incredibly high achieving group of students, and your GPA does matter. Your GPA is going to help you get that door open. That GPA and your accomplishments at Penn give you an advantage, and it's going to help get the door open. But it isn't going to get you the offer. The interview and your emotional connection to the interviewer, that's what's going to get you the job. So let me give you an analogy, one that I began with and I want to continue. Again, think about your favorite teacher, mentor, or coach. Chances are it's not because they had the most credentials or the longest resume. It's because they made you feel seen, challenged, supported, maybe even made you laugh. Something emotional. That's the same reason interviewers remember certain candidates. Not because they nailed every bullet, but because they brought clarity, warmth, confidence, or energy to the room. Your goal isn't just to answer well, it's to leave a lasting impression. You want them talking about you for the right reasons after you leave the room. Interviewers might not remember your stock pitch, but they'll remember your eyes lighting up when you talked about it. I want you all, you don't have to do it right now, but maybe tomorrow. I want you to write down one word you want people to feel after meeting you. Confident, energized, curious, impressed. Then reverse engineer your answers to ensure you leave them feeling that way. Okay, some good tips and tricks. I'm going to talk about small things that leave a big impression. These are the tactics that make you feel more like a future colleague than just a student interviewing for an internship. When done right, they create subtle psychological signals that say, this person is sharp, prepared, and ready. 3 powerful tactics. Pausing. Confident people pause because before answering, it gives you a sense of control and makes you sound thoughtful. Mirroring. Match the tone, pace, or even body language of your interviewer. It builds subconscious trust. And leading with structure. If your answer begins with, these are 3 things I'd focus on, you'll already show clarity and executive presence. Tip. Here's another subtle tactic. Start your answers with, from my experience, or one thing I found helpful is. It makes you sound like someone who already operates in the working world. And one additional tip, end your interview with this pre-close question. Is there anything in my background that you'd like me to clarify before we wrap up? It signals maturity, gives you one last chance to overcome doubt, and leaves a lasting impression. Okay, I love this. I do this. I did this before this webinar. This is my 10-minute interview audit. Before you walk into an interview or log on to a Zoom or even hit submit on an application, take 10 minutes to audit yourself the way a hiring manager would. Here's how. Choose a question. We'll go with why this firm, and answer it out loud. Hear yourself. Speak it loudly, confidently out loud. Then immediately apply the Workforce Ready Now audit checklist. Did I answer clearly and concisely? Did I sound like someone who understood the role and industry? Did I demonstrate emotional intelligence? And was I memorable? If you're not a yes for all 4, you're not done prepping. This step is your edge. Most students stop at rehearsing answers, but elite candidates reflect, adapt, and refine. That's what this audit is about, intentional polish. This checklist isn't just for interviews. Use it when you're writing emails, crafting LinkedIn messages, even prepping for networking calls. If you wouldn't say it confidently face to face, rewrite it. Okay, some red flags to look out for. You've learned what to do. Now, what not to do. There are subtle red flags that sink otherwise strong candidates. Saying we too much. This is your interview, your story, your impact. Own it. And this one's challenging because you're students. So a lot of the examples you're going to give in an interview have to do with team projects. And that's great. And they should be the material you emphasize in an interview. But you've got to catch yourself from saying, we did this, and we did that, and we delivered this. Introduce it as a team project, but then force yourself to train that vocabulary to be, I led this, I redesigned this, I implemented this. They're interviewing you, not the team. Rambling. If you don't know when to stop talking, it signals a lack of clarity or confidence. Being vague. Don't hide behind generic phrases like, I learned a lot, or it was a great experience. Be specific. Give context. Faking interest. They can feel it. If you don't care, don't expect them to either. And here's the truth. You don't have to be perfect, but you do have to be intentional. Red flags often come from over-preparing, under-reflecting, or trying to sound like someone you're not. If you want to stand out, be real, be human, be structured, and be ready to own your impact. And you know what? You don't need 20 hours to prep for every interview. I recommend 3 intentional hours. The first hour, deep dive on the company and role, website, all of their social media, see what they're communicating about, press releases, news, what deals are they working on, what scientific discoveries are they working on, what's happening in the lab. Dive deep so that you can speak intelligently about 1 or 2 specific things that the company is involved in. Craft power responses. Spend an hour crafting power responses. That's what this webinar was all about. And then take your last hour and do a mock interview. Record yourself, self-audit. Not only listen for what you said, but look at your body language, your eyes. Are you going to be remembered? By the way, you could also break it up into 30-minute chunks. No one wants to prep for 30 hours straight, but 3 half-hour blocks, that's pretty doable. That's how real people get preps done on a college schedule. Okay, that was a lot. That was a lot of me talking. I wanted to just a couple of minutes. We ended a couple of minutes early, and allow anybody to throw a question in the chat. If anything that I said leaves some doubt for you, if you have questions about any of the material I just gave, or if you've encountered some kind of interview situation that you want some clarity. Again, I know it's late. Usually people don't want to stay up this late or put too much out there. So I'll give you a minute. If nothing comes in, I'm going to be giving you all of my contact information so that you can follow up with me with any other questions if you want some direct answers. Okay, I don't see anything coming through as expected. So here's what I want to do. I have given you my contact information down below. If you found this helpful, download the Workforce Ready Now interview playbook. It is packed with examples, templates, prep tools to take this so much further and deeper. I've also put a coupon code out there, WRN 10 off, to give you 10% off. It's a $24.95 download, and you'll get 10% off of that. In addition, if you want to schedule a free consult with me to learn more about how we work one-on-one to support mock interviews or coaching or anything related to navigating from campus to career, again, the link is on my website. And remember, interviews aren't about perfection. They're about connection. Be strategic, be bold, be appropriately aggressive, and go get that offer. I thank you so much for giving me your time this evening. I hope you got some value out of this. You will all be receiving an email that will have a link to this webinar so you can replay it at your convenience and kind of hone in on those points that really resonate with you. Again, my email is provided here. Feel free to email me with any questions. I'd be happy to give any guidance or advice that I can. And I know that the future is unlimited for all of you. So I look forward to seeing where this advice, your education, and your drive takes you. Have a great night.